Alrighty, we are back. Your favorite podcast show of the week. This is Location Weekly. It's episode number 527, and we're recording live on Tuesday, the 27th of July. And as you can see, Aubriana, if you're watching the video, that is, Aubriana is not here this week. We've given her a week off. She's in the middle of her move to New York City. And instead, we have the amazing, great pleasure to have the co-founder of this podcast join us this week to fill in her spot. Rob Woodbridge is here. Welcome, Rob. How are you?
Asif, it's great to be back. Thank you. I'm great. I am so very sorry that you are stuck with me instead of Aubriana. There is no replacement for the incomparable Aubriana Lopez, but I will do my best. I will do my best. But it's kind of like when you introduce me, it's like, how many people turned off the podcast at this very moment?
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I think there's probably a few that, from the old days that are like super happy that you're here. Just it's always good to see you, man. And speaking of
likewise,
which, I was just in Ottawa, where you live, this past weekend, and didn't even get to see you in person. It was like last minute trip on my part. Didn't give you any notice, and
no, I was up on a river, enjoying the great spoils of this region. So where Ottawa is, it is right in the middle of some wonderful outdoors activities. And so we pile up a bunch of people, a bunch of tents, food, and we jump on a river and we do some whitewater canoeing. This was the weekend that Asif decided to come into the city of Ottawa. I was on a river paddling down the mighty Madawaska River. So I'm totally bummed. And obviously, zero connectivity out there, detaching from the world. But I saw that you enjoyed my fair city. It is a beautiful city in the summer. Don't come in the winter. It's a beautiful city in the summer.
We had a great day, a nice sunny day, and was able to kind of wander around with my daughter and explore. And it was kind of like we turned it into a little bit of celebrating, her being 18, and then on the other side, kind of a little bit of business and visiting a bunch of places using our Canada Trace platform in Ottawa. So, went to a place for breakfast that was amazing. You got to go if you haven't been, called Mazarine Restaurant. Rob, take your wife, go have a good breakfast. It's really something else.
Restaurants in public, outside?
Yeah.
Like in a restaurant? What?
Amazing place. And then we went to another place in the Byward Market called Piccolo Grande, which is like a gelato place. Amazing.
Institution.
Yeah, and then did a quick little pass by the National Gallery, which also uses Canada Trace, and just check that out. So it was good. It was good. And then of course we had to go have a few drinks over in Quebec for the 18-year-old. So that was my weekend, and I came home to obviously the Olympics underway in Canada, off to a good start, and both my Blue Jays and your Yankees are sort of puttering along right now and not really doing great things. So at least we have the Olympics.
It's embarrassing, but I'll tell you, like, I'm an Olympics guy. Like, I could spend all day, every day. In fact, I just turned it off, but I have my iPad in front of me all day watching the Olympics, all night watching the Olympics. My wife was so frustrated with me. She's like, because I'll switch off a television show that we're watching, and I'll because I need to see the 100-meter butterfly, swim race. And she's like, when you watch this in real life, I will allow this, but this is the Olympics, and this is part of. I just love it. It is for me one of the greatest things, and it's taking my mind off of the Yankees and their futility. Like, the one thing that is inspiring, it's not that I'll ever be an Olympian, but literally, I think you could put me in the Yankees lineup, and I would bat better than the majority of them. And then you can put me in the Jays lineup as well, and I would only bat better than Jansen, because that guy sucks. So I think that there's hope. The way that the Yankees suck so bad. I think there's hope for guys like me in their early 50s. I think they can still play baseball, because I think that the Yankees are willing to take a gamble on a guy like me. I'm available.
Yeah. We'll take it, Rob. We'll take it. So yeah, can you catch?
Jansen.
How are you in a crouching down, on your knees position? Like, are you? That's what we need right now.
Like I could probably get down into the crouch. I probably couldn't get up from the crouch. So like once I'm there, I'm fully ensconced. Nothing will get past me though. That's for sure.
There you go.
But I mean, look, you've got Jansen on behind the plate, and that guy is only good at catching the ball. I don't know what we're
Well,
gonna do. But the
Kirk's
Olympics
back,
for
so
me,
hopefully he can carry the lion's share of the games. At least he can hit. So anyhow, all right. Well, we have a good
yes,
show for
no
you.
baseball talk.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll get to the goods here. We have a really good show for you. 4 stories as per usual that we're going to cover off, and I'll let Rob start us off this week with our first story about a Canadian company.
It has been a long time since I've done this, so bear with me, and I will make this as brief as humanly possible. And I still can't believe we're still talking about selling virtual space in malls, but that's exactly what we are talking about. I think that one of my last stories 19 years ago, when we did this podcast together, was about the promise of augmented reality and in retail spaces. And this is a company called ARIA, who is ARIA Network, that's partnered with Brookfield Properties for their virtual air space. So this is 150 million square feet in 100 locations across 42 states. And this is really just around ARIA using the space to create augmented reality opportunities for brands to advertise their content, which consumers will be able to consume and participate in with their phones. And obviously, ARIA Network did the Super Bowl, the augmented reality components in the Super Bowl halftime show with The Weeknd, another Canadian. And they're hoping that obviously that this appeals to not only the tenants but the brands that are part of the malls, as well as I guess providing a great interactive environment for shoppers whenever they decide to go back to the malls. But I don't know, I'm in and out of a mall. I'm not sitting and loitering at this moment, even though I'm double vaxxed and I'm ready to go and I'm ready for the economy to roll up. But I think that obviously this is something whose time has been slowly creeping forward. I have a question for you, Asif. Is this it? Like, are we really finding the right spot for augmented reality? Is it really here, buddy? Because we've been talking about it, I think, since the early 1900s. That's really where I think we started talking about augmented reality. What do you think?
Yeah, no. So I think augmented reality is definitely here now. We've on the show in the last year, I think we've covered I don't know 80 stories at least on different augmented reality implementations. The social platforms, Pinterest and Snapchat, and all these guys are all over this stuff right now. TikTok, everybody's all over this. So I think it's hitting that mainstream piece. For me, this story, there's a little bit of good and bad in it. Like I think good in that in a sort of coming out of COVID world where people are concerned about, sanitation and
Touching
things and so on, navigating a virtual augmented reality mall directory or things like that where you don't have to touch something. I like that. I think that makes sense, but most people, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what the split is of people who go to a mall who live, in proximity to it and know the mall and how to navigate it versus people who are, never been there before, tourists coming in, that need to actually find something, in a directory environment or things like that. I think from a brand experience point of view, I can see that. I see a lot of sort of retailers playing around with augmented reality, trying to create cool experiences in store, that are sort of engage the audience, engage the fan base, if you will, a little bit. And I like that from the point of view of it being something that creates an opportunity to keep somebody there or entertain them in a way. It's not just transactional in that sense. So I like that. Obviously, the technology from ARIA is world class. It's been proven at the Super Bowl and other places. What I don't like about this is that I think, how do you get this from a distribution point of view to people? Like, who's going to go download an app to do this, and so on and so forth, right? Even if it's the mall app, like most people aren't going to download the mall app just to go and do this, right? So I think it faces that age-old challenge of any retailer or any business, is how do you drive downloads, that are going to get you enough usage and enough install base that really makes this something that's worthwhile. Super Bowl makes sense to me because you've got millions of people sitting
Captive audience.
in the stands in a captive audience, and that works, right? I'm not quite sure how that happens here.
It's very interesting. I have this mental picture of a mall in good times with bustling activity, people everywhere, stores open, everybody enjoying themselves, the economy's back up, and then somebody launches the app on their phone, and it's the augmented reality, and it's like boarded up windows, for sale signs, like broken, dilapidated advertising, billboards that are ripped. Like that's the kind of vision that I have in here, is that you really have to provide something extra special in that environment for people to make the effort, as you said, to be able to go and do the thing that is necessary to be able to see it on the device. And maybe we're not there, but there's got to be a catalyst somewhere along the line, glasses, whatever that might be, that really makes this worthwhile, that isn't as cumbersome to use and doesn't require super incentives to be able to download something. I think is the key that they miss in this. But
Yeah,
we'll still keep talking about augmented reality, man.
yeah, and I think there's a
Forever.
place for augmented reality, right? I think it's the challenge is as it's always been. How do you get this, to the masses, right? Like it works if you're talking about Snapchat or TikTok or whatever. They already have it. If it's built into those apps on your phone and you've got that install base, that's fine, right? But I think getting this distributed is the biggest challenge I see here. Functionally, I think there's value. So
Yeah, I agree.
All right, on to our second.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's jump off of this because we could spend a whole show just on it.
Yeah. So
tell me to shut up often.
all good, all good. So we'll jump over to our
All
second story now. So there's a ad tech company called Realworld out there that's involved in the digital out of home space, and they've launched a product called Q Digital Out of Home, QDOOH, to make billboard ad buying easier. And so this is QR code powered billboard buying and ordering. And the idea that they're going after here is they're really targeting, I think, the SMB market, the local businesses, that maybe, haven't bought billboard before, don't understand the value of it, don't know, what's available or what inventory is out there and those kinds of things. And so what they've kind of come up with is this simple thing that says, here's an empty space on a billboard. There's a QR code on it that we've put there. All you need to do as a business is scan the QR code, and you can kind of get the pricing, buy it directly through that QR code. Payments all handled. It's sort of like a full turnkey service initiated by a QR code scan, including the doing the creative and all of that. So like they kind of put it all together and package it up in terms of the ad buy and the payment and everything all tied together. Technically nothing really super new or different here. They're just applying well hewn technology here in QR codes to automate a process and make the buying process super easy, and kind of tying it all together with the creative part of it. So I kind of like it. I think it's like especially in smaller markets, where local businesses might be trying to find new ways to bring traffic back. If it's affordable, I think this could be cool. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a far cry from when I used to go up with my can of spray paint and do my own art on billboards, right? Like that was really the closest.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're simplifying the process. Like when I was with Lyft, I bought billboards across the city, and it was a painful process, and it took a long time. But that's just probably me because I had no idea what I was doing. So it just took a long time, and it's costly. So if they can streamline that whole process of understanding what the cost is, what the views are, what the traffic is in front, all of that kind of stuff, and then being able to schedule it I still love the idea though of being able to scan a QR code, get some pricing information, get some artwork up there same day, and do a real-time billboard. Obviously you have to get it to go through an approval process because you don't want any kind of bad actors taking that over. But it's not revolutionary. They're just streamlining that whole getting the pricing and buying it process, which is very transactional. But I'd like to see some action on the back end. So instead of me up there with a spray paint, I'd
Yeah,
like to see
and
it happening
what
in real time.
I think what's interesting too, Rob, is these guys don't actually own the billboards, so they're acting as a middleman in just facilitating and streamlining the process, right? So, the inventory owner, the billboard owner, is actually they get all their bookings and they get all their cash, without ever having to talk to a client in this case. So that's
Is that good? Is that good?
I I don't know. I mean, maybe for that first transaction, it's good, and then after that, you want to sort of build that relationship. I think, right? So
That's true. Two-sided marketplaces like this are always interesting, and a lot of people use it just to find new customers, and then are no longer part of that two-sided marketplace, as you know. Like I would think that with billboard customers, you would hope that you create the relationship, because usually billboard is one piece of your arsenal when it comes to out-of-home advertising. It's interesting. It's interesting. I just wish that I could buy something like literally right now, scan a QR code, and then like a Facebook ad, within minutes have it put up there, approved by the appropriate people. And I only need it up there. I mean, these are digital billboards, of course. I only need it up there for 90 minutes.
yeah,
Right now, like that would be, if you've got excess inventory, this is the challenge: is you don't want to give it away. You want to charge every moment you can. I'm talking about my ass here, but I think that would be very interesting.
and
Real-time
for
billboards.
you, Rob. It's a future business for you right there. When you're done with Trex, attack the out-of-home industry. There you go. Okay, on to our third story. Take us into it.
Yeah, you really queued this up for me very well. I appreciate this, Asif, because this is it's about Sam's Club. So they had this service called Scan and Go, and it was very successful. Obviously, during the pandemic, has obviously ramped up everybody's dislike of touching things, of being in stores and being around other humans. At least that's the way I felt that it was up in here in Canada. But they rolling out a pilot called Scan and Ship, which is really interesting. So at Sam's Club, you don't want to be walking around with, like, it's just like the same thing up here as Costco. You don't want to be rolling around here with 1,000 rolls of toilet paper in your cart. So the idea is you scan it with the app, and it's just an add-on feature. There's Scan and Go, but now it's Scan and Ship. You literally scan what you want, and it will ship it to you over the next 3 to 5 days, free of charge for Sam's Club members. And this is really interesting. I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like about it in a second. But what's really good about it is that it also means that we're really looking at these vacuous areas like Sam's Club or Costco all of a sudden becoming just showcases and warehouses for product or distribution centers, which is what we were starting to see as a trend with delivery. But one of the big things is that if you scan something and it doesn't have the color that you want, or the texture that you want, or the 3-ply tissue that you want, they'll get it to you. So you can choose the features you want of the product that you're scanning, and then they'll deliver it to your home in 3 to 5 days. So what I love is the convenience. I love the fact that they're thinking in that mindset, like every retailer should be, is delivery first. The greatest thing that we focused on in this pandemic is that e-commerce is the end-all be-all. It is the growth industry, but once you buy something, you still have to get it to the human in a good experience. And that's why I've made a bet on Trek City here, is that I believe that delivery is far greater than the actual commerce. The co-founder of Trek City always says to me, and to anybody who listen, you don't find many unbox it videos around the purchasing of a product. It's always about the receiving and unboxing. Like, that's what we see online. So it's really key that the delivery has to be a great experience. So that's what I don't like about this. 3 to 5 days is insane. Like, 3 to 5 days is too long. Like, what are we in the 1970s? Like, 3 to 5 business days to get your product from a store to your home is ridiculous. What they should be aiming for is scan. If it's in inventory, beat them home. Like, that would be the greatest experience you can possibly have. And oftentimes you're running out to Sam's Club, because you need to go and buy some toilet paper, or you're buying paper towel, or you're buying something that you need right away. You can't wait 3 to 5 days. What are you supposed to use your hand? What is this? Like, it just doesn't work anymore. So I have this problem with the promise of delivery, and then the outcome of delivery. 3 to 5 days is too long. So it can't succeed with 3 to 5 day delivery unless it's a bed or something, like a dryer or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. But even then, man, you want to create brand loyalty around Sam's Club, more so than they have. Wow them, knock them dead. The delivery has to beat them home. That kind of same day, 1 hour delivery from Sam's Club with this thing would be unbelievable, unparalleled. And you know what? Quite frankly, they're giving it away for free as Sam's Club member. They could charge a different tier for 1 hour delivery, just like that. They could say, if you want it before you get home, you get a priority. It costs you $5 extra on your Sam's Club membership, or you're a premium Sam's Club member. It's the tiered approach. And if you're just a common Sam's Club member, it's 3 to 5 days. Nobody will stay there. Nobody will stay there. I guarantee that they get a bump in revenue. And that's how valuable delivery is. So I love this. I love that they're focusing on delivery like this, the convenience, and not having to shove 1,000 rolls of toilet paper into your Mini Cooper.
Yeah, so quick comments on this from me. I completely agree with everything you've just said. I think the delivery piece is key. I think the timing needs to be much better. The tiered system you talked about, I think makes sense. Just to go in a slightly different direction, the one thing I like about this too is that it's sort of, the showroom aspect of the store, and then sort of platforms like this that allow you to say, okay, yeah, here's that TV, or here's that, sofa or whatever I'm looking at. But, digitally available in the app platform, you can see multiple colors, multiple sizes, multiple different options that they don't have the space necessarily to carry every variant in the store. So that ability, I think, is a powerful piece to this. And the thought that was going through my head, Rob, as I was listening to you walk us through this story is, I don't know if you had this in Ottawa, Rob, but growing up here in Toronto as a kid, I remember we used to have a retailer here called Consumers Distributing. And you would walk into these stores.
Of course.
You would walk into these stores, and it would, like, there was no products in the stores. It was just a bunch of long tables with catalogs on the tables, and you would flip through the catalogs, find the thing you want, and then order the thing, and there would be somebody there to take your order and do all that sort of stuff and process that, and then they would ship it out to you. I wonder if technology that we're talking about here today could be sort of the rebirth of a consumer distributing type of model. I don't know, but
I agree.
That was an interesting sort of thing that just popped into my mind out of nowhere as I was listening to this.
We see it, we see it all the time, especially over the last 16, 17 months, as retail has taken the brunt of what's going on with the pandemic. But there's a local institution here, and it's national now, and you may have heard about it. It's called Lee Valley Tools.
Yep.
So Lee Valley Tools really embraced this approach as well. So they have 6 locations across the country here, flagship being in Ottawa. And what they have is a showcase room on the front. It's small square foot. And then they have their massive warehouse where you go up with, like consumers, like you say, like, here's the SKU, I want this, and they go in and they package it up for you, and you meet them around back. And so they have these retail stores across the country, and their approach now is they're not retail stores anymore. They're distribution centers. Yeah. So everything in there is just inventory. You go online, you buy your product, or you can walk up and you can browse the showcase, but everything gets shipped out from these 6 locations. So they've converted their stores into shipping hubs. And that makes a lot of sense. And so they've really kind of done this hybrid consumers distributing. We talked about it all the time when we were talking with them about consumers distributing model, which is catalog, the new catalog buy. And that's what I think of often. We're going back to that moment. Here it was at Westgate Mall in Ottawa, where you would go in and it was just a counter. And you would get that, remember that you would get the catalog. It was like 10,000 pages. Yeah. And you just leaf through the catalog and pick what you wanted.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not sure 100% on this, but I feel like my first I had an Atom computer back in the day, and I think we bought it through Consumers Distributing, if I'm correct on that,
Probably.
from a catalog.
It's not funny
Um,
that
but
it's exactly, but that's what it did. It was eaten up, and then they
yeah,
went out of business, and they
yeah,
just were a little bit ahead of their time.
crazy. Anyways,
So cool.
maybe that'll come back too. All right, on to our final story for this week. There's a French perfume company called Coty, Coty, out there, and they're like a lot of consumer brands that sell in physical retail. They've COVID has kind of really changed things for them in terms of the way product sampling is done. If you've ever walked into a Hudson's Bay store or Nordstrom or Carrefour or whatever, and you go into the cosmetic section and you walk through the perfume, you smell all the stuff, and then usually there's some person there that's got the little sample bottle out, and they're like, "Hey, do you wanna try this out?" And they'll do a little squirt on your wrist or on the little piece of paper. Nobody wants to do that anymore because it's COVID. You don't want to touch anything. We've been talking about that all show. And so they're trying to figure out how are they going to kind of get people exposed to their newer brands and kind of get product sampling happening. So they've come up with some technology to do this. They've developed a custom built sort of distribution system. So it's a little device that basically houses the perfume bottle and has a way to sort of count how many samples have been handed out. So they get some metrics from this as well that they didn't have in the old way necessarily, the manual way of doing this. So you basically kind of go up to the thing and it kind of spits out like one squirt of the perfume onto your wrist or onto the piece of paper. And then you can try it out that way and so on. I think the real value here is, besides the touch free, is the metrics piece that, is kind of a new thing, right? When you're doing this in an automated fashion, with tech versus people, who knows how many squirts, how much wastage, there might be with that. I don't know, right? I'm not a perfume person, but, like the reality is this stuff typically isn't cheap, right? You go in, it might be $100 for a bottle or more, of this stuff. So it's a high value item and, or luxury item, and I guess the less you can kind of waste and the more you can kind of count and have metrics around that is interesting. I think what would be cool would be to tie some sort of location data around the people who are coming and interacting with the device. So if they could have some sort of beacon or proximity piece built into the actual sampling device, and that can somehow pull data or ping the mobile devices of the people coming up and getting the samples, and then you could measure back to transaction, or are these people regularly getting samples or not, or demographic data or things like that. Like, I think that would be even more interesting to see, and obviously we have lots of people in the location-based marketing association that do those kinds of things, but I would love to see that sort of level of data added to what they're already doing. Your thoughts?
Now, I always think back to those early days. Remember, like we covered this in 2016, 2015, 2012, somewhere around there, where we were talking about scents over the internet. Remember, we were talking about having these little devices that you plug into a USB port on your computer back when they had USB ports, and it would basically fabricate the smell. We made fun of it all the time. And the first thing that came to my mind is like, why isn't that now dominating the world when it comes to this during COVID times? I know that my 14-year-old son would just send me fart smells the whole day, and it would just be hysterical to him, but terrible to everybody else. But it would be something, I think that I wonder if the time has come for those to be gone. We're seeing some fundamental shifts as a result of what we will and won't tolerate anymore around humans. And I mean, I never tolerated the cosmetics area in a department store anyways. And thankfully neither did my wife. but I would always think that, some certain things, certain procedures that we used to go through will be gone forever, and maybe this is one of those things. Maybe there's no rescuing this. Maybe this is a problem that doesn't exist after the pandemic has dissipated. I don't know, but I think it'll be interesting to watch that space. So I'll go the exact opposite to you. Is I'd say that, will this be around? Will this be a common behavior? Yeah. And are they attacking the right problem at this stage?
I think that's a great question, right? I think you ask a valid question, and I think there's some things that some industries and some segments that I think are really going to struggle coming out of this, right? And I think for me, things like cosmetics as an industry, whether it's perfume or makeup or what have you, I think is one of those, because you look at it and go, how many people are going back to the office and want to sort of take all that extra effort to get ready, and add these things in, are they
this, man? I had to do that this morning.
What is that? Yeah, like what does that look like, right, in terms of metrics? And so then, what's the incentive to put on all this makeup and make sure you smell extra nice and whatever? I don't know, right? But I think there's a lot to be figured out, right? As we start to come back to work and we see what companies are going to make employees do and things like that. So it's interesting.
I think what's interesting, Asif, it's just got to be like this progression back to the way that we were into office space. And I think the thing that I struggle with the most are pants. Like, I'm gonna have to start wearing pants again if I decide to go to the office, because I think that it's frowned on not to. And so, like, you start there. Like, first you realize that you can't wear slippers all day. You have to kind of transition into normal shoes, and then the next thing is you have to wear pants. You can't just wear shorts or sweatpants, for example. Yeah. Sweats have now dominated the world, and then it's kind of okay. You have to wear a different shirt the next day. Just psychologically getting this. And then you kind of work your way up to the point, okay, now I have to put deodorant on. And now I have to do my hair. And now I have to take a shower every day. Those are the kinds of, I think that we're 77 steps until we're back at the cosmetics counter getting samples, and thinking that through. So I think that, as we're going to attack problems, I mean, this is just me I'm talking about, but the first one is I can't wear white socks with sandals. So I got to work on that, or else I get ridiculed. There was this great little study that they just pulled out, and it said, as you age, I just saw it this morning, so I'm totally going to misquote it, but it basically was the same thing, is that anybody in an older category has the one thing that they've let go. It's not the physical activity, like the younger generation has let go of their physical activity during the pandemic. They've let go of their eating habits. I think us older guys have maintained physical activity and eating habits, but the one thing we've let go is our grooming. And I can attest to that, because the co-founder of Trexity, his hair is coiffed. It's perfect. Alok, barber comes in every 3 weeks and cuts it. And I went like 7.5 months without a haircut, and I didn't even think about it. And I got my haircut, and they're like, who is that guy? Yeah. So I focused, it's just this disparity is that I focus on physical and mental and healthy well-being during this period of time, and not my grooming. That's why everybody had a beard for a while, and the younger generation is focused on grooming, but not anything else. That's what the study basically came up. And I think that so we've got a long way to go before we're sitting at a cosmetic counter being sprayed with the latest Hugo Boss.
Well, Rob, I don't know. You still look good. You still look young to me, and we appreciate you coming on and filling in this week. It's been really great to have you here. So thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
And
my total pleasure.
Yeah. So, for the folks listening and watching, this has been episode number 527 of Location Weekly. Of course, we'll be back next week. Aubriana should be here. And if not, maybe Rob will be here too. Who knows?
You'll never invite me. Every 500 episodes.
Yeah. Maybe all
500 episodes,
We'll be on next week. But anyhow, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.